Um, there have been Aboriginal kings or rulers who received the title a man of his people. This reference attests to their Aboriginal nature. An Aboriginal leader can be immensely popular, but the true test of this character is whether or not he or she believes in the Lord. That's the only saving grace for the Aborigine, regardless of their position in the world. It's not that the Aborigines are intellectually inferior. They are equally intelligent and talented as the non-Aborigine. The only thing they lack is that spark from the Lord that will light their spirit, the Holy Spirit. When it happens, the Spirit comes alive in them suddenly, and they understand everything. Jesus referred to their former state as blindness. They have eyes that can see, but they do not see. And he goes on about the US system of government, which is a democratic republic, etc. It's not a democracy. The people elect their representatives, who then vote their conscience. The president is elected by the electoral college, which represents the people's vote in national elections. The Supreme Court is appointed by the president, and so forth, so forth. When the Aboriginal element in the population elects a bad president, the whole country suffers, and that's how it goes. When there's a president who does the will of the Lord, like a king or ruler who does the same, the whole country lives under the blessings of that leader. There are spiritually endowed presidents, kings and rulers who became corrupt after they assumed leadership. Yeah, that's the problem with being a leader and then getting power mad, power crazy, and you become a dictator and a tyrant. Which brings up the interesting point that an Aborigine cannot be possessed by evil, because he only has a soul, and the soul cannot comprehend the spirit. Interesting. Also, we'll read that again. There are spiritually endowed presidents, kings and rulers who become corrupt after they assume leadership, which brings up the interesting point that an Aborigine cannot be possessed by evil, because he only has a soul, and the soul cannot comprehend the spirit. Also, only the person who is born with a spirit can become possessed by evil. Okay. However, the natural state of the human being is to have a spirit and be the servant of the Lord. This is what Christianity is about: to preach the love of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua Mashiach, the Messiah, to give testimony regarding to the faith in Christ, to worship the Creator of the universe and do His will. Herod wanted to slay the child Jesus, or Yeshua Mashiach. He saw him as a threat to his throne. Herod was an evil king, brilliant architect, etc., but apparently an evil king. He was possessed, and therefore not an Aborigine. Okay. All world leaders who are atheists are Aborigines, but dictators like Hitler and Stalin were not Aborigines because they were possessed by the evil spirit. Okay, this is getting a bit... okay. An Aboriginal dictator lives and dies like an animal, but he cannot be possessed. The atrocities that he commits emanate from his animal nature. Once he's had his fill, he stops. An evil dictator never stops committing evil deeds. In the end, he refuses to be taken alive. He would rather set fire to himself to prevent anybody from capturing him. Evil is an unquenchable fire. Yeah, okay, it's true about dictators. They usually run off somewhere, or they kill themselves. Try to hide amongst the public. In a worldwide perspective, Walt Tanschung, that must be German. Okay, look up that word. What does that mean? Yes, have a look at that. Not too hot on the German. Can speak it a little from when I was learning when I was a kid. Had interest in it. So have a look, see what that word means. Maybe it's world something. I'm not too sure. So look, see what it means. So obviously German. It's about all as we know, as much as we know. Okay, well, Welt and Schang. I'm not too sure how you say that. definition is a comprehensive conception or apprehension of the world, especially from a specific standpoint or worldview. Atheism is the Weltanschauung, not be sure again how you say that, comprehensive conception of the world of persons who are free from theism, i.e. free from religion. He is at least admirably honest about the cognitive process he adapted to himself to cling to his Weltanschauung. Another definition there: a comprehensive conception or image of the universe and of humanity's relation to it. Bibliography. It's a German word that often is translated as worldview or world outlook, but just as frequently is treated as a calque or left untranslated. It's a comprehensive conception of theory or theory of the world and the place of humanity within it. What's the difference between it and it's a calque of world view? Is it like adding up or summing up? Often calques gain traction when translations of the words are either inelegant or does not justify the word's deeper meaning. Zeitgeist appears to be an important concept in cognitive philosophy. See this great lecture by Freud, Sigmund Freud. And here it is in the German at Wikipedia. Okay, we don't really get it. It's probably someone's personal worldview, how they see the world. So look at that sentence again. Yeah, there is the world view perspective. Now, how is that in relation to that sentence, to that title? And it goes on about the US historically avoided becoming an empire, but in the absence of an opposing superpower, the Aboriginal element could be flirting with that idea. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the balance of power theory has been set aside. Suddenly becoming the only superpower in the world is a difficult situation to handle. Here you got to remain that superpower, right? You don't want to be overrun by another superpower, okay, and replaced. Okay, historical perspective and so forth. And he states, Victor Alexander here states, he prays that the US will never become an empire, and that there is a return to Christian values and the apostolic faith that made that country a haven for all oppressed people, regardless of their religion. Immigrants come to America to live in freedom, but that freedom was made possible because of the reliance of the founding fathers on the Lord. That's the history of the United States. Well, you could say, yeah, they had that pretense that they were of God, perhaps, according to the so-called conspiracy theory or the actual history, historical records of the characteristics of those people, Benjamin Franklin, etc., who really behind the scenes were Freemasonic. There's possibly two types of Freemasonic or Freemasonry. The God-led one, we have done a previous video on the PDF of the Freemasonic Bible, and it has a lot of their symbols, but very God orientated. And then you have its opposite, which is supposedly the Illuminati, all this Masonic devils and Satanism and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, so you got to do your own personal research and figure out, is it satanic or is it God-led? Because we had the PDF which showed a ancient or old King James version with quite thick, like the one that we have, with Michelangelo's Last Supper painting on the front cover, but it had the sextant with the G in the middle, etc., of the Freemasonic order. Okay, so hopefully this helped in regards to this, the creation of the first pre-Adamic human beings, the Neanderthal man, versus the second Adam, or human beings, filled with the Spirit of God, etc., moulded from the dust or the earth, and the feminized man or woman, womb man, made from the rib and flesh of the man, moulded from the earth, or Adam. Okay. So I think that's enough for now. We've covered Genesis, etc., in other videos. Here, this is Genesis 4:26 of note. Adam took his wife Eve again after Cain had killed Abel, right, and went off into the land of wandering, or Nod. There is no indication in these scriptures that, as Cain was talking, that they were having other children, like sons and daughters. It wasn't until after Cain went into that land. Genesis 4:16. And Cain left the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of the nomads, east of Eden, or the land of Nod. And he took a wife there, so there's no claims of incest. He married his sister, took his sister. Is incorrect, even though there is that pseudepigrapha book, the lost book of Adam and Eve, where Cain and Abel were born and they had two females attached to them, and Cain kills Abel because he wanted his wife, the one that was attached to him, as his lover, etc., etc. That's pseudepigrapha. Okay. They know when it was written, but they can't determine who the actual author was, so they consider it non-canonical, fraud, fake, etc. Okay, so Cain took a wife in that land, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. And Cain started a village and called it after his son Enoch. And then to Enoch was born Irad, and to Irad was born blah 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 blah. And then Lamech, who had two wives, probably the first bigamist, and it looks like he killed Cain by accident, according to another of that same pseudepigrapha, the Lost Book of Adam, part and Eve, probably part 2, in hunting accident. For Cain is paid in vengeance, it's indicating there that somebody killed him. So Cain is repaid in vengeance sevenfold, and if anyone kills Lamech for doing that, I suppose it's hinting at that revenge will be 70 times 7. So here it indicates Lamech took two women, and the name of the first was Ada, and the name of the other one was Salah, and she gave birth to children, etc., etc. They both did. So he tells them, listen up, woman, my wives, the wives of Lamech, listen to what I'm saying, woman. Heed my sayings, for I, Lamech, have killed a husband in his bigamy. So obviously killed probably one of these wives' former husband, and a young boy in his lechery. Okay? Probably he killed Cain, that husband, and a young boy that might have had affection for one of them. Okay, read between the lines, come to understand what it's talking about. So he basically here admits to being a bigamist, right? No, he wasn't a latter-day saint. Okay, at that time, anyone tells you that, they're mad. Okay, but yeah, he is a bigamist, as admitted there, right? And then Adam and Eve got together again, did the wild thing, and she became pregnant and gave birth, and she called this son that she had Seth. It's a footnote indication, because God gave her another offspring in place of Abel, who was killed by Cain. And to Seth also was born a son, and he called his name Enosh. Thereafter they were called after the name of the Lord. So his footnote indications. So Genesis 4:25, or Breetah 4:25, states here in the footnote, literal Aramaic word she, instead or in place of. She, I don't know how you say it in Aramaic, I'm just guessing. 426, the beginning of the line of the children of the Lord. That's when they started to call on the name of the Lord. Okay, whatever that name was at the time, in that era, they called on this name, so they became the children of the Lord. So that's that holy line. Okay, who interbred with, they left their rightful place as children of the Lord, sons of God, and intermarried with those Neanderthals, right, and created strange or alien or weird beings who become the giants, etc., etc. Because they, as it was stated earlier, they were close, right? Genetic wise, DNA wise, so it possibly caused a problem genetically, etc. And that's why they came out with aliens, strange, giants, freaks, etc. So hopefully, so it's not the fallen angels or anything like that. No ETs, no little green men that go nunu nunu or shazput. Yeah, don't believe that hype, that fluff. If these are the original biblical manuscripts from the original Tau Asherah, Lishana Atika or Supraya, the language of the old sacred scribal old language or old tongue or language of the ancient Old Testament prophets, scribes and monks who compiled it all around 800 BC in Urhai, Odessa. Okay. Yeah, don't believe that hype. As they say, it's a conspiracy theory. Someone out there's putting a load of pseudepigraphic rubbish, if you could call it that, right? Or pseudepigrapher, meaning that they can determine when it was written, but they can't nail down or determine exactly who wrote those non-canonical or considered non-canonical books. Okay, so if you enjoyed that, then subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to set that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our in-depth, interesting revealings through our videos. Give us a like if you really liked it. Give us a thumbs up. Add your comments down below. Get back to them as soon as we can, as soon as possible. And then go tell your friends, hey man, this is what it was really like. This, according to these real ancient scriptures in the ancient sacred old language, old tongue. Yeah, go check out this video on that channel, on this channel, Ministry of the Real Truth, because as he said, he's bringing you the real truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. None of that Willy Wonka crap, right? No hype and fluff, just the whole truth, the real truth, and nothing but that truth. We have no time with that hype or fluff or BS.